Her school books lay scattered in the gravel of County Road 35. A single muddy footprint sat half-washed at the tree line after night rain. The brass bell at Morrison's general store had just chimed her exit. The porch light at the Kowalski farm never brought her home. It was September 23, 1978. Galesburg, Michigan. For 41 years, only search maps and rumor. Until a construction site discovery and modern DNA genealogy finally gave investigators a name to chase. Route and clock. 16-year-old Clara Whitmore clocks out of Morrison's general store about 6:15 p.m., buttons her pale blue cardigan, and starts the familiar about 2.5-mile walk home along County Road 35, gravel, drainage ditches, split rail fences, a small woods patch before the Whitmore lane. Mrs. Kowalski sees Clara pass her kitchen window at about 6:20 p.m. By 7:30 p.m., the farmhouse table is set and empty. At 9 p.m., her father drives the route with headlights cutting the fog. At 10:47 p.m., the missing person report is logged, and a deputy takes the first statement at the farm. Conditions. A cold front drifts in, evening fog settling over the cornfields, temperatures in the 40s. Early fall dark. Shoulders are damp, the woods hold low light, and shallow sign won't last through the night's mist and drizzle. Neighbors expect her on that road. Porch lights mark waypoints. The family's collie usually meets her near the property line. She does not arrive. Initial ground truth. Deputies and neighbors working the corridor document Clara's schoolbook scattered about a half-mile from the store and note one muddy footprint near the woods, already partly washed before anyone photographs it. No dropped cardigan, no purse, no blood, no continuous footwear line away from the road, and no vehicle debris. The surface reads brief contact and rapid loss of trace, not a protracted struggle. Found, not found. Found. Books in the gravel. A single rain-softened footprint at the tree line. A clocked-out timeline from the store. Not found. A clean track into the woods, drag marks, clothing or jewelry, witnesses to a pickup, any crash or medical event signature along the ditch line. The absence of routine homebound sign in a short familiar corridor is itself a contradiction. Working window. Minutes, not hours. From about 6:15 p.m. departure to about 7:30 p.m., missed dinner and 10:47 p.m. report, the practical opportunity sits in the first mile south of the store, before fog and light rain erase soft evidence and before neighbors mobilize. Early indicators support a roadside intercept with minimal dwell rather than accident or voluntary detour. The books didn't look dropped on the way to anywhere. They looked like a sentence cut off mid-word. The ledger records 10:47 p.m. and a map grid for County Road 35. Back at the farmhouse, the pot roast goes cold while the porch light burns into the fog. Accident or medical event on the walk. County Road 35 shows no skid, no gouge, no glass, no bicycle or vehicle debris. The ditch line holds no collapse mark, no blood, and no drag vegetation. If Clara stumbled or was struck, we expect a fixed point with secondary trace and a call from the first passerby. None appears before fog and light rain settle. Conclusion, the corridor reads, no impact, arguing against an unobserved roadside accident. Voluntary detour or runaway. The route is short, familiar, and bounded by a set dinner time. Her school books are found in the gravel about a half-mile from the store. No purse, no cardigan, no packed effects, no pre-event disclosure to family or the Kowalskis. People who leave deliberately do not scatter textbooks midway and walk into woods without a trail. Conclusion, voluntary self-removal conflicts with property left, timing, and routine. Ride with a known person. A consensual pickup normally leaves deliberate order. Books gathered, a step to the shoulder, perhaps a witnessed greeting near the store lane. Instead, the scene shows books dropped, a single muddy footprint at the tree line, and no continuous track. There is no corroborating witness to a friendly stop along 35 in that hour. Conclusion, measured handoff is uncorroborated and behaviorally off. Animal or farm stock interference. Fences along the split rail runs show no snag, and the tree line presents no trample fan or hair. A horn swipe or chase through damp ground typically prints multiple overlapping tracks. Deputies log one partial, already partly washed by mist, before a photograph. Conclusion, animal event lacks supporting trace. Destination misadventure at the Whitmore lane. Clara never reaches the property line. The family's collie does not meet her. There is no secondary scene near the lane or porch. Conclusion, the problem originates north of the house, within the first mile from the store. Third-party contact near the woods patch. The working constellation. Books in road, one muddy footprint at the tree line, no continuous trail, no vehicle debris, and a tight dusk window fits brief roadside contact with minimal dwell, then removal off corridor before neighbors mobilize and before weather erases soft sign. The single footprint is consistent with a stumble or pivot at first contact rather than a protracted fight. Conclusion, evidence present and notably absent favors a vehicle-based intercept over accident or voluntary leave. Scene constraints, 1978. No CCTV, no mobiles to ping, film-era photographs, fog and drizzle that wash detail, and late-night discovery all limit durable ground truth. The scattered books and the lone partial print are time-sensitive. By the time the grid forms, directionality is gone. Conclusion, identity is deferred, preservation and later rework become the long game's strategy. Window, minutes not hours. From about 6:15 p.m. departure to about 7:30 p.m. missed dinner, the practical opportunity sits in the first mile south of the store, before fog settles and before the first drive back at 9 p.m. Conclusion, the intercept window is short, the surface fragile, and the scene signature consistent with brief contact and rapid removal. Those books didn't spill like clutter. They read like a life mid-sentence, cut off at the margin of the woods. The report logs 10:47 p.m. and a sector grid. In the farmhouse kitchen, the pot roast cools while the porch light pushes a thin cone through the fog on County Road 35.
Community response and grid.
By late night, deputies, volunteer fire, and church crews run County Road 35 in shoulder-to-shoulder lanes, then push to ditch lines, the split-rail fence, and the woods patch north of the Whitmore Lane. The father's headlights sweep the corridor. Neighbors set porch lamps as markers. A fog and drizzle mix turns the surface to mush. Soft sign disappears as it's made. The scattered schoolbooks are flagged. The single muddy footprint at the tree line is photographed in place, but degrades further with every minute. No secondary scene forms at the lane or porch. What the 1978 file actually preserves. Film-era work yields a basic photo set. Books in gravel, footprint at the tree line, a short property log for recovered textbooks, and a small paper envelope labeled Tree Line Soil Trace, scraped from the margin after the print begins to wash out. There is no CCTV, no vehicle plate capture, and no phone records to place Clara after the store. The footprint is too water-softened for a good cast. Any attempt is noted as unsuitable. Those handful of items, the photos, the book list, the one soil trace, and the narrative, become the backbone of the box. Parallel canvas. Deputies rewalk Clara's day. Store co-workers, the Kowalski kitchen window, mailbox checks along 35. A few drivers report low visibility and thin traffic. None reliably place a pickup or stop near the woods in the key half hour. No payphone hits or fuel slips surface. The working picture stays what the roadway suggests. Brief contact near the woods, then off-corridor removal inside a short dusk window. Why the case goes cold. The corridor is evidence hostile. Fog and drizzle wash directionality, nightfall hides contrast, and by morning the only footprint is a blurred oval. There is no crash field, no body, no witness to a handoff, and 1978 offers no DNA pathway from a damp soil scrape. As months pass, recollections thin. Teenagers leave for college or work, too early informants relocate. Through the 1980s to 1990s, the box is re-inventoried more than reworked. Anniversaries bring coverage, not proof.
Preservation and custody. What endures into the 2010s? The photo set, the narrative and canvas notes, the property ledger for the books, and the sealed tree-lined soil envelope with witness initials intact. A later cold case audit barcodes the packet, photographs every seam, and logs continuous seals on the soil trace since intake. That clean provenance, and the fact the soil was never fully exploited with modern low-template methods, earns the file a lab slot for rework. On paper, it's a photo number and a soil envelope. In the fog, it was a porch light burning down an empty road while the collie waited at the fence. The night's log ends with, books recovered, footprint photographed, no further findings. At the farmhouse, the pot roast cools while the porch light throws a small cone into the mist where Clara should have walked. Cross-checks against innocent transfer.
Because the source is tree-lined soil, investigators test contamination hypotheses: family contact, deputy handling, environmental carry. The sealed since intake envelope, negative eliminations, and single-source S&P metrics argue the contributor is linked to the footprint margin rather than introduced post-collection. It does not name a person, but it supports targeted confirmation. Deliverable to detectives. The lab returns A. A sourced family tree to the MRCA. B. A short list worksheet, age, addresses, 1978 employment/route notes for the 3 remaining males. C. The uploads audit packet, policies, call rates, shared CM tables. And D. A confirmation plan. Obtain a lawful discard from the shortlist primary and compare by STR to the tree-line membrane extract, reserving a second cut for court. This moves the file from genealogical inference to traditional proof, which the next block covers. For decades, it was a small envelope of dirt. Under a membrane, it became a quiet footprint, saying someone else stood at the wood's edge. The notebook fills with call rates, CM clusters, and upload logs. In the farmhouse, the collie still waits at the fence each evening when the porch light clicks on.
From lead to target. Genealogy narrowed the field to a short list. 1 living male fit all filters. 18 to 35 in 1978, residence and work pattern crossing County Road 35 at dusk, and local presence into the 1980s. FGG remained a lead, not proof. Detectives pivoted to traditional confirmation. Surveillance, lawful discard, reference. A static team documented his early routine for several days. On day 4, they collected a lawfully abandoned drink cup with visible saliva residue sealed under a blind lab number. STR development produced a full single-source male profile. A reserved cut of the tree-line membrane extract, block 4, was then typed. Concordance at all callable loci, mixture tests negative. A court-ordered buccal swab reproduced the discard STR, closing the loop from genealogy lead, discard, reference, in-case trace. For charging, match strength was expressed simply. RMP less than 1 in 10 to the 12. LR less than 10 to the 9 for same source versus unrelated across major U.S. population groups. Independent corroboration. Employer rosters, directory listings, and shift notes placed the subject on or across CR 35 in the operative window. Route habits from that era align with a dusk pass by the woods patch. The preserved packet, photos, property ledger for the books, and the sealed tree-lined soil envelope with continuous seals provided a coherent frame that the STR identification fits inside, while negative eliminations reduced innocent transfer arguments. Arrest and charging. Arrest took place at 7:05 in a work police parking lot, no force. After Miranda, the subject made limited statements. Prosecutors built the case on 3 pillars. Identification. STR match between the tree-line membrane source and the reference buccal, statistics as above. Access opportunity. Employment and route documentation consistent with presence on County Road 35 at dusk on the date in question. Corroboration. Clean chain on the 1978 soil envelope, single source SNP STR path, and negative eliminations for family and responders. FGG uploads to opt-in LE portals were documented as investigative lead only with a full audit trail, not the standalone basis for probable cause. The match did not arrive with noise. It clicked, and a fogged-in mile of gravel finally had a face the case could say aloud. Technical closeout. What was tested? Tree-line soil membrane, low input SNP to target, STR confirmation, lawful discard cup, STR, and confirmatory buckle, STR. Thresholds. SNP call rate about 92 to 94%. Discard buckle attar membrane, full STR concordance. Method blanks clean. Eliminations negative. Chain of custody verified from 1978 intake to modern bench. Why probable cause was met?
An independent STR identification to an in-case source anchored at the footprint margin, plus documented access opportunity on CR35 in the narrow dusk window. Genealogy used solely to aim the proof. The evidence clerk pressed a fresh seal and logged the number. At the farmhouse, the porch light that once pushed a thin cone into the fog was finally switched off, though the collie still waits at the fence at supper time.